if you want to sell online.
All right, guys, welcome back into another NFL preseason DFS video. Going to be getting into the early slate here. So just that 3-game slate, covering the top picks and plays. Going to give you some core plays and some captains picks as well. I will say this slate is already one in which it's probably my least favorite of the slates that we've had thus far. And it kind of is what it is. The afternoon slate I like a little bit more. And I'll tell you what, I don't know if I've done this joke to you yet. I'll tell you what, worst dad joke ever. But the afternoon slate is going to be a little bit better than this slate, okay? So this slate, just zero great RB plays is going to be the problem. And I'll touch on that. I'll go position by position like I typically do. We do have a question from Kevin right off the top. He is doing a redraft league here in about an hour. So his question is, and if any of you guys in the comment section have any feelings about this, feel free to put that in there in the chat section. But he's asking, hey, how high can I draft Pierce? Running back Pierce, 6th or 7th round. And to me, that really just depends on how the first 5 rounds of your draft go, or 6 rounds of your draft go. Obviously, if you need a running back, sure, reach for him. That's perfectly fine. But if you don't, I don't really see the point of it. Like, that is very much a situation there where, you know, just draft best available, really. I mean, that's been the strategy I've been going with a lot in best ball drafts, is drafting the best available. Just because there's so many loaded, good enough RBs later on in rounds. for Rashad Penny, Devin Singletary, Pierce as one of them. You can get, I know AJ Dillon's going a little bit earlier than that. You can get him. You can get Stevenson. You can get Harris. Heck, Miles Sanders is going late. Like, there's so many names out there that could pop. Khalil Herbert, I know he's a backup. Kenneth Gainwell. Like, there's so many names back there that you could draft that. No, I don't think you need to force it unless you go receiver heavy at the start of your drafts, you know. All right, so yeah, let's get into the slate. So, yeah, he went 8th in my 16-team draft. Wow, that is pretty late. So yeah, I mean, it really just depends on, obviously he likes him, so that's why he's asking it. So yeah, if you want to get him, you're going to have to reach for him. Like, I think that's the point of the question. What defenses do you like best for the slate? So far, I like the Bills and the Broncos thus far. The Broncos were one of the best defenses in last week's preseason game. Like, really, it was the Bears that stood out to me player-wise, but as a unit, the Broncos kind of stood out as a unit last week. And then Bills D, yeah, so I do actually like Bills D as well. I've kind of just been putting those two in there in both of my spots. So whichever builds I'm making, I'll enter them twice, and then just switch in one of those defenses in there, so I can have 2 unique builds with both defenses. And that's kind of what I had to go with last night, which sucked. I had Patriots defense and Rams defense. Patriots defense changes the whole slate by scoring 20 plus DK points. Like, that's kind of what sucks. Like, it worked out for me in that sense, but like, literally you could have nailed all your plays yesterday and just not had the right defense, and you might not have dominated. So that would have sucked for you guys if you did that. All right, but let's get into the quarterbacks here. So quarterback-wise, the Detroit Lions are actually one of the teams I like the most for the quarterback. So Jared Goff, yeah, he's not going to play in this one. And a bunch of the Detroit Lions starters are not going to play in this one. And so that's going to leave Tim Boyle and David Blau. Now, Tim Boyle played a majority of the game in the first half, and then David Blau came on in the second half, they're just going to flip-flop that. So David Blau is actually going to get the start, which actually makes me like Tim Boyle a little bit better. Both of them look pretty good. Both of them look like NFL backups, okay? So you give Tim Boyle going against a little bit easier competition. That makes me like him a little bit more on the slate. Now, both can play. Both can score. They probably will, throw 100 yards and have a touchdown. It does seem like they're going to want to pass, okay? Both of them are definitely good options in this game. I like Tim Boyle a little bit more. So just kind of throwing out a Tim Boyle stack for now, or just putting him in that build for now. At the quarterback spot for the Denver Broncos, that's also a spot where you can chase. You have Josh Johnson, who absolutely lit it up last week. 2 touchdowns, over 100 yards passing. He did throw the ball over 20 times as well. I think that's a key thing that we need to look at. He threw the ball 20 times, and then also Brett Rippon here, he also threw the ball 18 times. So those 2 quarterbacks threw the ball a ton, okay? That is intriguing to me. I always like to look at passing attempts as kind of an indication of maybe future predictability in preseason DFS, because sometimes coaches just need to get looks on these guys in preseason to see, hey, are these viable players for us in the future? That's half of what preseason is coaches wanting to get looks at these guys. So could that be the situation here? It could be. Like, both of them are viable options. And honestly, those 4, it makes the slate tough. Like, for me, probably Josh Johnson, although I feel like he's harder to stack. Then Tim Boyle, then Blau, then Rippon for quarterback-wise thus far. But then you look at the Buffalo situation, like, I don't mind Matt Barkley, who might play a full half in the second half, or it's going to be a quarter and a half of Josh Allen, because Josh Allen is expected to play a healthy amount is what they're saying. So I bet that's like a quarter to a quarter and a half, or if they have a really great first drive, they might get pulled. You just don't know for sure, but it seems like a quarter and a half, quarter and a half, quarter and a half. Not that sexy for DFS purposes. Carson Wentz might play a full half. And I mentioned this, like, the Washington Commanders quarterbacks looked really good last week. Like, as a unit, it was great. Like, Sam Howell produced, Taylor Heineke and Carson Wentz look like they typically do, which, I mean, when they're good, they look like when they typically do when they play well. They're both solid. Is Carson Wentz going to play a full half? Maybe. And once again, this kind of just comes down to if the offense is playing well, they go out and score on 2 straight drives. You kind of saw what you needed to with your starters. So it kind of goes hand in hand there. Like, is Carson Wentz going to play a full half? Well, that really depends on how well he plays, okay? If they go out and score twice, well, he's going to have done the work for you in preseason already, DFS purposes wise, as long as he's the one, like, passing the touchdowns and it's not a rushing touchdown. So, like, that's where the slate gets difficult. And I'm kind of just been defaulting to the safer. Like, we know which players are going to get playing time for sure already with the Denver quarterbacks and with the Detroit quarterbacks. And that's kind of why I've been defaulting to them. So at the running back spot, I absolutely hate it. Let me just check on some questions here. Yesterday nailed the plays. Yeah, it's been a fun preseason thus far. Honestly, I don't want to pat myself on the back too much, but preseason NFL DFS is like the biggest edge there is, I think, in DFS in general. Like, whew, it's crazy. You do your research, you watch the film and whatnot, it pays off the most. I think it's just because lineup generators can't really compete with, like, the human element as much. Just checking up on the questions. So we got some questions about KC. So the starters are going to play a little bit in this one. We got some questions about Kelsey. I don't think we need to play Kelsey. If you look at one player that they shouldn't play that much, even Mahomes, like, Kelsey's the one that they shouldn't play. So you could play him. I don't mind that. The 2 that kind of stand out to me, if you wanted to chase a Chiefs tight end, would be Noah Gray and Forsett. They like Jody Forsett. He's been kind of injured. They want to get some looks at them. Like, I don't love them. And there's only like one tight end play that I absolutely love on this slate. They're not one of them. Mahomes, you could play, Mahomes, it's kind of the same thing with Carson Wentz. Like, probably going to get a touchdown. Probably going to get another series than he did in the last week's game. Can he score twice in 2 drives or so? He could. Once again, I just kind of default to playing time. And you don't know. You don't know if it's going to be a rushing TD or passing TD. You can predict that they're going to get into the red zone, but, who's going to get that touchdown? I like to chase more drives, more passing attempts, even if we're giving up some quality for quantity. All right, so yeah, just looking at the running back spot, guys, I hate the running backs on the slate. I do. Okay, none of them are really standout plays because the ones that are going to get a playing time look like shit, and the ones that might not get as much playing time did look good, but they're all kind of in a running back competition, so the reps are going to be split up. So it does look like DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams are going to sit in this one. Okay, that would be great. But Craig Reynolds was someone I actually liked a decent amount last week. He did not produce. Jamar Jefferson just does not look great. He's probably going to play a decent amount in this one. Like, you could play him if you want to. I'm not really excited about any of them. Like, they probably will produce, but at the same time, Detroit threw the ball a lot last game. So, you just don't know. I like Tyson Williams here. Like, he's a solid player. I think he'll produce, but kind of just guessing there. And preseason DFS, I don't like to guess. I like to make educated guesses based off of the playing time that we have. And we just don't have that. Like, the one situation that we have the best playing time predictability with is the Denver Broncos. So Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon were both warming up today, kind of prior to warm-ups. So that is telling us that they're not going to play. So if they're not going to play, we can see that leaves Mike Boone, Jaquan Hardy, and Stevie Scott the third. So I'm guessing it's going to be Mike Boone while the starters are in, and maybe the second string unit. So he's probably going to get about a quarter and a half. We know Mike Boone's a solid player. I'm fine with using him. Jaquan Hardy, he's okay. Like, if he gets used in the passing game, he can definitely get some points. Kind of same thing for Stevie Scott. I didn't really see it with those two. Jaquan Hardy last year was okay preseason wise, but maybe just Mike Boone, maybe just locking those 5 carries. Hopefully he falls into the end zone. And that's honestly where I'm struggling with on this slate. And then going back to kind of struggling with the predictability of the slate, like Zach Moss probably going to play. I didn't see any news on the Buffalo's running backs. So I'm kind of expecting them all to play a little bit. And we already know they can rotate their running backs a decent amount. Now, obviously, Devin Singletary really took off at the end of the year last year, but they could all play. And that kind of makes them all not worth playing. And that's kind of why it's a stay away. Like, one of them will probably score. Can't really predict which one it's going to be. The next situation that I actually do like running back wise is the Washington Commanders. So a lot of people are calling for Antonio Gibson to lose his starting role, which based off of last week, I don't see it. Brian Robinson looked good. He also messed up some really easy runs. So yes, he looked good on some runs, and then he also just messed up some runs that NFL running backs should be able to make. So let's calm that hype train down a little bit. But Brian Williams is actually going to be in another great spot in this one. So Antonio Gibson is going to play a healthy amount in this one, I think, but also Brian Robinson with J.D. McKissick sitting in this one, Brian Robinson could be a decent play. And I also think like Jared Patterson, also someone that should be a decent play in this one. Like, those two, playing time should be there for them, and the receptions in the passing game should be there for them as well. I don't mind them. Do I love them? No, but I don't mind them. Then running back wise, I feel like Isaiah Pacheco is going to be higher owned than he should be. He really had one play in last week's preseason, and that might have been by design. Like, you think about Tardy Cohen way back in the day when he was a rookie, he had one really huge week 1 preseason, and then they kind of shut him down so that at the start of the year, like, teams were shocked at him as like a contributor on offense. That might be what they're going with approach wise with Pacheco here. Like, Derek Gore's not terrible. You guys can see, like, just not great plays at running back. So this is a slate in which typically I like to go 3 running backs, kind of get that floor up points-wise. Probably not doing that in this one. Probably chasing some higher upside with the receivers here. So we're going to switch it up into the receivers now. All right, yeah, and if you guys have questions, make sure to get those in. If you guys are new to this channel, like and subscribe. I do appreciate that. We've been growing a lot, guys, and it's pretty awesome. I love the momentum that we have going here. But yeah, getting to the receiver spot. So Detroit. Receiver-wise, I saw that Josh Reynolds was warming up with the typical starters, so he's probably not playing. Same thing with Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then also DJ Chark. So that doesn't leave that many receivers. Like, Tom Kennedy was someone that we liked last week, and he went off. I mean, 100 yards, like I think he had 11 targets, like 8 receptions, it says right there. Man, Kennedy was open a lot, but part of that was at the end of the game, they were just kind of forced into throwing the ball a lot, and the targets just kind of were forced to Kennedy's way. So, like, game flow wise, that's probably not going to happen again. Like, I would say 7 targets would be great, like we're not going to get double-digit targets again. That'd be kind of rare. The game flow would have to be there again for that to happen. But 7 targets from him, stacking him with David Blau or Tim Boyle makes a lot of sense. The playing time should be there for him. I like him a lot. If you wanted to go a little bit further, like Pimpleton is someone they are excited about. I don't like him as much as Kennedy, but all it takes is one play. So if you were really trying to stack, which there's a couple of other receiver plays I like better, you could go Pimpleton, but I don't know. I'm struggling. Like there are some better receiver plays that I like a little bit more that might make me not want to play 2 Detroit Lions receivers, which is weird because I like their running backs or their quarterbacks a lot. Receiver wise for the Colts, kind of just to stay away because predictability wise, don't exactly know. It was kind of recorded that these 3 would probably sit in this one. I don't know if that's been confirmed yet. Let me check on, let's see if I can pull up my Twitter to see if that is confirmed yet for Alec Pierce. Because kind of the thought was that, all right, they look good enough in practice. They don't need to play this week. So let me just double check and see here. Anything here? See, this is what weird. Some teams will put out active and inactive lists, and then other teams will not. Let me check out just the Colts Twitter. And I'm just looking on the side screen here just to see. Okay, yeah, not seeing anything from the Colts too much. Okay. Yeah, so whatever. That's just more of a stay away from me. Any one of these guys can produce, but really, we're just trying to get lucky there, and I just want to take kind of the guaranteed points. So from there, the Denver Broncos, and this is where I like, maybe we want to go Josh Johnson. We'll do that real quick. And then the one player that I like the most is he popped up is Brandon Johnson here. Brandon Johnson had himself a pretty good game. It was partially the reason that they threw the ball a ton. Obviously, threw the ball like 40 times. He was one of the beneficiaries there. There were a few receivers that had over 6 targets in this game, and he was one of them. He was the one that impressed me the most. So you could definitely go with him. Like Kendall Hinton, fine. Seth Williams, fine. Once again, it's kind of like the Detroit situation where I love Tom Kennedy, and for this situation, I love Brandon Johnson. And then we just kind of have secondary options where good plays, not great plays. It's kind of like with the Packers there. Like Romeo, it's like that. Like Romeo Doubs, easy play last week or yesterday, and then it was like, we could go Juwan Winfrey, we could go Torrey, who had a terrible drop, which sucked for DFS purposes because, man, that's like a 6-point play there. I'm still frustrated by that, but it's kind of like that situation where, sure, if we play all 3 of them, are we going to probably get like 20 DK points out of that receiver group? Yeah. Are we losing some upside on the slate then? Yeah. And I this is kind of one where, with lack of having lock plays, I kind of want to chase upside more, if that makes sense, where like maybe 2 of these guys go off for us and they kind of carry us. That's kind of what I see happening. All right, so getting to the Bill side of it. Now, Bill side of it, I do like 2 plays a decent amount. Hodgins here, he was someone that we liked a decent amount last week. He had a lot of targets in this one as well. 9 targets, 77 yards, or 9 receptions, 77 yards, 11 targets. Really went off. He's a guy that's been getting a lot of hype out of camp. He is kind of just like an easy plug and play for me right now. But you also have another player, Shakar here, who getting a lot of hype out of camp as well. Played pretty well. Maybe gets a little bit more quality reps in this one as well. Like, he could easily have a good game as well. Like, I don't mind him. But then, like, who are we going to play a quarterback? Obviously, we're playing 2 Buffalo Bills receivers. We want to play a quarterback. Case Keenum sucked. Josh Allen is going to play a decent amount. But maybe just Matt Barkley cleaning up in the 3rd and 4th quarter. That's where it's difficult, guys. Like, that's where the slate gets difficult. Because we know where the great, I don't want to say great quarterback plays are, but the quarterback plays are the safest. And like with this Bills situation, it's tough. That's what makes it tough. Getting to Washington, still kind of the same thing. Bunch of names there. Nothing that I really love there. KC side, though, I still do really like Justin Watson. And this is kind of the problem, is that a lot of the same plays that I liked last week at the receiver spot from the slate are popping up in this one, which should sound great, but it's preseason DFS. Like, typically speaking, guys do not hit 2 weeks in a row really well. that's where I'm worried, is that these players here, they're all players that hit for us last week. But I do like this base, like Kennedy, Johnson, Hodgins, and then Watson. I mean, that's pretty good. They should all get a decent amount of playing time, about a half of football. The targets should be there for them. They are all receivers that get open. So I do like them all. That, once again, that's just kind of the unfortunate side of the slate as well. All right, real quickly, get into the tight ends. And once again, if you guys have any more questions, get those in. I do appreciate that. And then, hey, as well, the afternoon slate, I will be probably putting a video out there about 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. I kind of started the research for that a little bit, but then I didn't want to get like mixed thoughts going with this slate, So I'm going to be finishing that up, finishing the write-up for it, and then doing a video pretty much. Might go live, might not. Probably just going to put a video out there for you guys. So be on the lookout for that. Should be a better slate like I talked about already, predictability-wise. So just looking at tight ends here. Okay plays, I guess. I really wanted news on Devin Funchess, and we didn't get it yet. Come on, beat reporters. Be better than this. He would have been someone that I actually liked a decent amount tight end-wise in the slate. Zane Zylstra, Brandon Zylstra's brother, I would almost assume. I thought I confirmed that last year, but slipping in my head. He's someone that they're kind of excited about. He's a pass catcher, could do something. Unfortunately for the Colts, Drew Ogletree, someone that they were excited about. I believe it was he tore his ACL. He's out. So that actually means like Kyle Granson is going to step up a little bit. He's someone that they kind of like. Could he get you 4 DK points like he did last week? Probably. Is that going to be enough? Maybe. Like anytime you can not take a 0 at the tight end spot is huge. And I think he does that for you. So he's a decent play. Denver Broncos wise, nothing that I love too much. Buffalo, OJ Howard's been getting some hype. Like they don't have that many names there. And once again, like trying to do a Buffalo Bill stack does make sense. But quarterback wise, like let's say you go Hodgins, and then Khalil. Like you almost have to choose a quarterback there. Like that's where it gets tough. And then getting into, and then the tight end play, as mentioned in the comment section, is Rodgers here. So he stood out in film. Now, he only had 3 catches, but they're all kind of designed like out routes, short routes, and it was only 12 yards. But he was impressive. They are pretty banged up at the tight end spot, and he is someone that really just stands out play-wise. Is it guaranteed? No, but really no tight end play is ever guaranteed unless it's Jeff Driscoll starting at quarterback. Still crazy that happened. But yeah, he's like the one I'm going out of my way to play. And then Granson as like a secondary option. Obviously, you never want to go full in on any player unless it's Jeff Driscoll at tight end, but he's really starting at quarterback. I already mentioned the KC players like Gray, Forsett could do something. Don't love it too much. Defensively, the two that I like the most are actually the two playing each other, the Denver Broncos and the Buffalo Bills. The thing that worries me about the Denver Broncos is even though they look really strong defensively last week, the Bills are going to play a lot of their starters, which the Broncos aren't going to be playing as many of their starters. So you got starters going against backups. It's likely that the Buffalo Bills first unit is going to score, which means that the Broncos are going to start off kind of struggling. I do kind of like the Bills a little bit more defensively just because their stars are going to play a little bit more. Still, it's defense. We're trying to get lucky there. Who really knows? That's unfortunately that's kind of it. Detroit going against 3 backups could do something. This is where like I don't love the slate. The running backs not being able to stack the quarterbacks properly, and then the defensive plays are harder. That's the problem. So we got a question. If I do the Tim Boyle stack, should I put Raymond at running back? Yes and no. Like, it makes a lot of sense. Like, if I am stacking a quarterback, if I'm using a quarterback, I kind of just want to stack them with like a pass catching running back from their team because we don't have any like guaranteed running back plays that are like locks. So yeah, Craig Reynolds would be kind of the one that makes the most sense. You're kind of just hoping they get into a 2-minute situation here. Craig Reynolds gets in, gets 3 targets, 6 cheap DK points, and then maybe he has like 15 yards rushing or something. 7 DK points from a running back on a slate is huge. So yeah, like you could do that. Like that's a route that I don't mind, but that's the difficult part of the slate. Again, like no guaranteed really plays at running back. So it's unfortunate. We'll put it that way. We'll say, like, looking at the showdown slate for Denver versus the Buffalo Bills, you could play both defenses. You could play Josh Johnson. Obviously, Brandon Johnson, I like a lot. Like, there's a lot of quality plays there. And that's a showdown slate that I kind of like a little bit more because we have all those players that I touched on a decent amount. You have, I'll just do kind of the showdown lineup you could do real quick. So, like, you could start off with those 3, then you could play one of the defenses if you want to, and then like Josh Johnson you could play rip him. Like there's a good path to at least some good lineups showdown wise there. But if we don't have any more questions here, I'll probably be getting out of here because I do have to finish kind of entering my lineups in. I just max entered my lineups and I'm going to go through in and kind of individually change them right now, just so I can get my unique builds in there. So yeah, if we don't have any more questions, I'll be getting out of here. So Skylar Thompson, I'll touch on that in the second video, Kevin. That was awesome from him. The Skylar Thompson for quarterback play for the Miami Dolphins. That was fun. I liked him. Best QB play. I like Tim Boyle a lot just because he looked fine, good enough. He's going to be going against 3rd and 4th stringers. He's probably QB caliber wise in the NFL. He's probably like a 2nd string and a half quarterback if we're trying to like grade it out. And I like the passing weapons with him. Like the stack path is a little bit there with him more than some of the other quarterbacks. Josh Johnson's fine. Black Sheep. Who? I don't even know who that is. Cody, let me see. Huh. Oh, no, he shouldn't be a good play. Just because they're going to play more of their 1st string running backs a little bit more and 2nd string. Like, these players should be playing more than these players, if that makes sense. That's kind of what they were saying. Now, is that going to happen? I don't know, but I don't think he's going to fall into the end zone again. Yeah, and that's the problem with Josh Johnson is that he's going against the starters. Yep. That's the difficult part of the slate. It's not, we don't really have any locks. We're like, yesterday, Trey Nixon, Dobbs, Jordan Love, Goodson. Like, there's enough locks on that slate to make it where you're just changing one part of your build or 2 parts of your builds, a defense and a tight end maybe. Whereas this one, like, you really could change every single player. I mean, we have like 4 really solid receiver plays. And I kind of just been defaulting to playing all 4 of them, but then we're missing out on stacking opportunities, which is never fun. That's the issue. Which, I don't know. It's just not every slate's created equally. That's just how it goes. All right, so I'm gonna do a quick edit here, guys, because I'm sick of this being on the screen. Look at that. Edited, right on a live video, just edited the screen out there because I'm not charging for the NFL DFS membership, especially for the first part of preseason. I might be doing the 9 to 5 lineup optimizer, which would be available as part of the PGA DFS membership. It kind of just be included with that. I think I'm going to do that. So, like, yes, there will be like a slight PGA package, and there would probably be a little bit of a cheat sheet as well. But I really want to put the content out there on YouTube, on write-ups and stuff, to kind of grow the channel a little bit more, grow the audience a little bit more, so I can help people out a little bit more. Yeah. Robinson, it's kind of just I don't want to say the go-to play, but the hype's there for him. He'll probably have higher ownership than he should, and if he does hit, 1, his ADP is going to go up a lot, but 2, like, you're kind of just screwed on the slate. But it easily could be Jared Patterson, like game flow dependent. Like, Patterson could be in there in the 2-minute drill and getting 4 checkdowns. That's where the slate gets difficult. Not enough injuries, which is a good thing. There's not enough injuries for the running back spot on the slate, which is a good thing. But it makes it hard to predict. And no coach is really coming out and saying, yeah, this guy's going to get a good look in this game. So, yeah. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll have that afternoon slate video out for you guys at around, like 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. So let's have good slates. Fingers are crossed. We're going to need to get lucky on this one a little bit. But let's have a good slate. Let's have a good day. And as always, guys, let's keep cashing. I'll see you there at that other video. All right. Thanks.